Okay, Year 12, welcome to your video tutorial. Today we are going to have a look at array of records. Okay, basically a synonym for records, they can be called arrays of records or just records in themselves. I've mentioned them a few times, but we're just going to clarify in this tutorial what are records, what they look like, and how they differ from normal arrays. Okay, basically a record is a data structure that contains a number of fields, but it's different from, say, a two-dimensional or a multi-dimensional array in that each field contains in a record can be a different data type. Kind of, if you've done any database stuff, a good way to think about it is kind of like a table in a database. You have an ID which is unique, but then you can have name, surname, date of birth, like a record is kind of like a multi-dimensional array, but you can hold different data types. Okay, so here's your usual examples. Usually you're given an example of a record. The most common example people usually talk about are things like surname, Christian name, title. So if you wanted to keep an address book. Now, surname, that's going to be string, that's going to be string, that's string, that's string, that's string, that's string. But something like if you wanted to also put a person's date of birth. A person's date of birth is definitely going to be an integer, as is their like the day, the month, and the year. In order to access different elements in that record, you preface it with the record name, my details, dot, whatever field. So my details, dot, whatever field. My details, dot, whatever field. And if you did something like this, this would assign one record to that type. This is a bit of a different example. Hopefully this will help you understand how counts can be used in records. So I have a record. My record is called qualifying, okay? And it kind of looks, I put a table up the top so it kind of tells you the car number, the model number, the driver, their time for lap 1, their time for lap 2, their time for lap 3, lap 4, and lap 5. Here's the pseudocode that will calculate which driver did the fastest lap. So begin, calculate fastest laps. While count equals 1, so I start the count at 1. While count is less than the total number of cars, even though I've done random examples here, 25, 05, 17, you assume it starts at 1 and goes up to whichever number, okay? So while count is less than or equal to the total number of cars, start num is equal to 2, fastest is equal to lap 1. While number is less than 5, or less than or equal to, because while there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 laps. If the qualifying, so if in the array, whatever count you're at, 1, dot lap, whatever number you are, starting at 2, is less than qualifying count dot the fastest, then the fastest equals whatever number you're on. So basically you need to start at 2 because you're not going to compare, you can't compare 1 to anything. So you're comparing that to that, and that to that, and that to that, or whichever one is the fastest. This to that, this to wherever, okay? So you're basically looking to see which was the fastest lap. The reason why you start at 2 is you cannot start at 1, okay? We set the fastest to be 1 because we're going to assume this is the fastest lap, okay? So for the Holden driver, Davis, number 25, we assume 1 is faster, is the fastest lap. Okay, if the qualifying, if lap number, and then we're going to compare it to 2, if lap number 2 is is less than the qualifying count fastest, then I'm going to reset the fastest lap to whichever number I'm on. Okay, so I'm going to set the fastest lap to this one. Then on the next iteration, and I'm going to add the number is the number plus 1. So on the next time, it's going to compare lap 3. And it's going to say, is lap 3 faster than lap 2? No. Okay, so if it does, it's going to reset the number. If not, it's going to continue on in the loop. When it comes to lap 4 for the Holden driver, it's going to see that 179.9 is faster, and so it's going to reset lap 4 to this guy. Okay, to this guy over here, and so on and so forth. And then it's going to eventually end, and then it's going to finally display the qualifying, whichever count I'm on, the driver. Okay, so if I'm in the first iteration, it's going to, driver 1, it's going to display his name and his fastest lap. And it's going to do that count equals count plus 1. It's going to do that for all the different drivers. So eventually this pseudocode, what this is going to do is it's going to display all of the drivers and their fastest lap. Sorry, I think I might have said that wrong at the start. This pseudocode displays all of the drivers and their fastest lap.